Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And we're back with Hot Goss.
With unpopular sauce.
We start doing it like that every time.
Yeah.
That flowed really well. In case
we didn't
that was
practice.
not, I was just about to say that was not even planned. I just looked at you.
I saw my cue and I took advantage.
Well, if you are watching and you'll notice, we are live and in person this week.
We're wearing the same. Oh, no.
What?
I was going to say we're wearing the same outfits, but it's because we recorded our Wednesday episode before this one.
Oh, yeah.
That's why.
So if you will also watch our book club podcast, we will be wearing the same outfits because we already recorded that one.
Yeah, we're going to
We'll be wearing these outfits for the next handful of episodes.
Right now. Yeah, so I do have different clothes.
Just not with me.
Just today, we are doing a lot of episodes.
We are trying to take advantage of being together in person and doing as many episodes as we can. Mm-hmm. So, but we're excited because we get to hang out also. Yeah. And yeah, it's fun to record these regardless, but it's extra fun when we actually
get in person.
Yeah, it feels different.
Finally get to see my bestie in person. And guess what we're doing this week? We made a fun itinerary.
We did make a fun itinerary.
We're starting with popcorn balls. We're going to watch Dune 1 and 2 because I like that movie now. And fun fact, I listened to our very first ACOTAR episode. We'll go into that in a different segment. But I specifically said on there, Melissa, I can't believe you made me watch Dune. That is the trashiest, worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Fast forward to about a year later, I watched it again recently, but really focused, really tried.
Did what you are supposed to do during the movie.
I just can't. But I did this time. It's my new favorite.
It's
so good.
And she had to come crawling back and apologize.
All 3-hour flight, crawling all the way here to be like, I'm so sorry. So we're going to watch Dune. And
together,
we are going to play pickleball. And we're going to have a pizza party after this.
All the
We're
fun
15.
Things. We are. And
I'm excited.
It's the best weekend ever.
Yeah. It's girls' ladies' night. Dun, dun.
If you haven't seen that reel, Ellie just showed me like right before we started recording. It's this little girl who's excited to have like a girls' night with her mom.
The cutest
and
person I've ever seen.
Her mom's like, "What are we doing tonight?" And she goes, "It's a mommy and me and ice cream." And then she gets off the table and starts dancing and making up a song.
It's girls' ladies' night. Dun, dun.
And now that will forever be stuck in your guys' head as well. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So if you do listen to our book club episodes as well, and if you don't, I recommend that you do. This week we are releasing we're jumping back into Queen of Shadows, which was very fun. Our indie book author month was super fun and exciting too, but it's feels like we're almost like coming home, coming back to Sarah and like the Massiverse. And I love the Queen of Shadows too. So it was fun to jump back into a book that like has so much
grip on us.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just like, okay, we're ending indie book month and we're going to Throne of Glass. It's like it's one of the
we're like
good
in the middle of the series. Exactly. So listen to that. Comes out on Wednesday. Oh, it's chapters 57 through 75. That's what I forgot to say. So those chapters, part 4 and then part 5 will be our last segment of that book, and that's going to be the following Wednesday. But we are so close. We're doing a giveaway soon. Ellie, do you want to talk about it?
Yes. Once we hit 10K on Instagram or we hit our anniversary, which is
I really think we're going to hit the 10K first, though.
I do. Whichever comes first, though, we are going to do a giveaway, and we are partnering with Cozy Cap & Co., and they do candles. So we're doing some merch from L.A.M E Book Club Pod, a candle, some gift cards, some snacks. It's going to be a great
I don't
time.
know about you. It sounds like a giveaway
I'm
I'd
going to apply to my own giveaway.
Hopefully I win. How terrible.
Who's
you
the
guys.
Hey King? Me. Who won the giveaway? Me.
And if you know where that reference is from, please be our friends.
Yeah.
But yes, and also if you don't already follow us on social media, please do. It's at L.A.M E Book Club Pod on everything. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts.
Should we start reading reviews again?
We did. Okay, you know what? We said we were going to.
Yeah.
And then
want me to pull one up? I can do it.
It was so early on. We didn't have any. So we were trying to get people to do it. And then people did start reviewing it and we stopped reading.
Yeah. And then we were like, no.
We tricked. We lied to their
too busy
faces.
today. But let's read one today.
Pull one up.
So this one says, my new book besties, 5 stars. I'm only going to review 5 stars. So that's your incentive. Even if you hate it, 5 stars, I'll read it. Finally, a fun podcast about Sarah J. Maas's books. I have been loving listening to Ellie and Melissa's theories and takes on the books. I hope they tackle other series too by other authors at some point. Good news. We're doing that today.
We did it last week. So this review was left before we did our last Hot Goss episode. And we
wait. That was by RAH5329.
Nice.
Thanks.
Thank you, RAH5329.
Yes.
This week we are going to continue. Honestly, this wasn't really planned, but last week's episode was a really, really great segue into what I have for Ellie and you all today. We're going to recap ever so slightly throughout the episode on what we talked about a little bit last week, but it's mostly going to be a little bit different, but they just go well. It's similar ideas. So today...
Wait. We need to also mention, if you have not read all of the Empyrean series, which is just Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, do so before you listen to this episode, because there's going to be a lot of spoilers for both books. So proceed with caution.
Thank you. So today we are talking all things Venin, and I'm going to try to start doing this every week, but I might forget and or not come up with an idea. So no promises.
You've seen what we've said about reading reviews and how well that went.
It's an empty promise, very much so. No, but I named the episode this week.
Oh.
And I titled it, It's Veninin to Look a Lot Like Theories.
Nice.
And it's
Veninin
to look a lot like Theories. Thank you. I was going to say, if you didn't hear the Christmas song in your head, you're broken.
That's a really good June name.
What?
That's a really good name for a June episode.
It is, because it's so hot.
It's so humid. Not Christmas that it really just sparks the hope into
It sure does. Nothing makes you feel more hopeful than
Melissa's
that.
hometown, 115 degrees.
It's
I literally said,
degrees,
I stepped off the plane and I was like, it feels as if you just got in your car that's been baking in the sun all day.
Yeah. Well, and I texted her too, because when I was picking her up from the airport, I was like, best to wait inside because it is as hot as Satan's butt crack outside.
It's a little.
It was a little toasty.
A little hot.
But anyways, it's Veninin to look a lot like Theories here, even though we're inside and it's cool. So before we wait, Ellie, are you ready? I forgot to ask.
Ready.
Okay. Before we get too in the weeds on this one, I just want to state another small theory. We talked about this in the last episode, which I think we did. I can't remember, but if not, I'm stating it now.
I'll check you.
I think that Naolin is not only still alive, but that he is Venin.
We did.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't really think this theory is too out there. And I think actually like a majority of the fans of this series agree on that. Based on what I read online, at least. It feels like everyone seems to think that that's true. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail on how I think that happened and what that looks like a little bit later on. But I just wanted to, for the record, state that. So here is what we're really going to talk about, though. Are Siphons more inclined to turn Venin? What do you think?
Yes. But only because last week I barely skimmed the surface of that, but yes.
Yeah.
Because being Venin is to take from the earth what is not yours.
Yeah.
And Siphons take from everybody else.
It's funny that you mentioned that,
They
because this is literally what I wrote.
Yeah.
Having the signet of being a siphon in the series literally means that they can pull power from one source and imbue it into another. People turn Venin by pulling too much power from the earth. So like that is quite literally the signet is what. So exactly.
I hope. I hope, and I don't know what else you're going to talk about, but if that is a thing, I hope Rebecca really hones in on differentiating the two, because that can get really muddy.
It could. I actually is a good. We can talk more about that later, because I don't necessarily go into that.
Okay.
But that is a hot take. I agree.
Okay.
Not everyone who has turned Venin has had the Siphon Signet, though. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's been specifically mentioned or excluded either way, but the signet isn't super common, so I can only, and there's more than a handful of Venin, so I can only assume that not every single person.
Well, Jack wasn't.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
I also think that they can sense power in not only the earth, but also in other riders and flyers.
Like sense what their signets are?
Like sense how much power they have.
Oh.
And I can't remember if this is 100% confirmed or not, but I read somewhere on Reddit that, so like, I don't know if this was someone's theory or if this was actually said, like, but Jack, that's why Jack had hated Violet from the start, is because he could sense her power.
Ooh, even before she bonded?
Even before she bonded.
Wow. So you think he was Venin from back then?
I'm gonna.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're gonna. Yeah, no. I promise we're gonna jump into that.
But I do have a tie into that. In X-Men, The Last Stand. It's
So
the
not
third
this
one in the
series.
series. No, not X-Men.
I know, but you're like, I have a tie into this.
I do.
Something totally unrelated.
Hear me out. They have one of the mutants' like powers is to detect what level of power everybody else has, and so they classify it as like a class 5, class 4.
Okay.
So Jean Grey is like a class 5 because she can control anything.
Spoiler alerts for this movie, by the way. I'm
It's
kidding.
been out for maybe 20 years.
All I'm saying is that was my thought process on posting some Throne of Glass series spoilers because it's been out for 7 years, but
There's
Ellie
the
said
fork
no.
in the road, and we broke our necks going the opposite way. But yeah, so same, kind of.
Same, but different. All right, I'm even gonna go so far as to say that I think they might even be tempted to turn Venin because of their signet.
Siphons?
Yes.
Ooh.
So this brings to the next part of what we're gonna jump into.
Yeah.
Who do we know of so far for sure, like in this series that has the Siphon Signet?
Sloan.
I'm glad
Mary?
you asked because we're gonna talk about them.
Okay.
You're right. Naolin. Naolin was confirmed to have the
That's why I
Siphon
need a rundown
Signet.
of the outline. Naolin.
Thank you. It's better when you don't because it's funnier. We don't know much about Naolin thus far in the series, but we do know this. He tried to revive Brennan using his signet, but depleted his magic in the process and burned out. We were told that he died next to Brennan. He was also Tairn's original writer.
Wait.
And
Were we told he died? Because I've seen comments recently saying that he gave everything,
so
not that he
yes,
died.
it says, and I'm going to jump into that.
Okay.
It says he gave everything, but in other parts it says that he died.
Oh. Checks out.
And I have theories on why it's worded differently in different parts.
Okay.
He was also Tairn's original writer, and Tairn almost didn't survive Naolin's demise.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to him.
His end.
Yes. So, Sloan, Liam's sister, R.I.P. Liam, a former enemy of Violet and current friend and ally of hers and the Revolution. She is also the one who siphoned Lilith's power, killing her in the process to imbue the Word Stone again in Besgaiath and restore the wards at the end of Iron Flame.
Yeah, I remember. I was there, yeah.
Yes, you were. Jack Barlow. Now, wait. Before we jump into this, you're going to say, but Melissa, siphoning wasn't his signet. Exactly. Before we jump into that, let's just quick background on him. He's a cocky and arrogant SOB.
Yeah.
Jack was a villain from the beginning of Fourth Wing and was out to get Violet from the get-go. Mm-hmm. We all rejoiced when he was crushed by a mountain during War Games. And we all lost our marbles when he was in fact not dead and came back in Iron Flame.
What did we do? We went psychodrama bananas.
Psychodrama bananas, exactly. Thank you for bringing that back. That was fun last week. We were all equally as bewildered and skeptical when he was being nice to Violet and even saved her. But then snapped back to reality when he revealed his true self and intentions by destroying the Word Stone and freaking killing his own dragon and saying he was Venin.
Wait, can I say something? It might be unhinged.
Go for it.
Do you think that he was being nice because it's a very similar situation to, spoiler alert for all of Throne of Glass real quick, but the Valg like taking over someone's body and like he's not really in there, but he is. Like he was trying to come out and be nice maybe during the... No, I hate it. I hate this whole theory. Scrap it.
Well, potentially, but it just kind of depends. We don't know when he started the Venin process. So if he hadn't started
he was
prior
just being
to being
nice to be a jerk.
Well, that's if he was Venin before he even got to Besgaiath, then potentially. But if he turned Venin after being there, then no, because he's been a jerk from the very beginning.
True.
So that I don't. Maybe.
Okay.
I like your thought.
Yeah.
I like
that he's somehow maybe good
still in
inside.
there. Yeah. Except at this point, I don't think she would do that because she already made us kind of try to believe that he was good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so when you say siphoning isn't his signet, that's true. But we're still talking about it because we don't actually know what his real signet is.
Do we not?
We don't. Here's the thing. His signet was believed to be pain projection, which is the ability to force power into someone's body.
It is siphoning because
causing them Immense pain. However, Rebecca Yarros herself confirmed in an interview that it is in fact a Venin ability. So pain projection wasn't a siphon or wasn't his, signet in itself. Yes. That is an ability of a Venin.
But wasn't Violet, when he was touching her, felt like the power was draining from her in a sense or something like that? She says when they were fighting.
There's other parts of the book where he touches people and it leaves like a gray, like, yeah. So is it possible that he was a siphon, which is how he was able to pull magic and turn Venin in the first place? I think so. So, or because like as of right now, if you look on Wiki, like I can't remember the exact website, but like the Wiki fandom for Empyrean series, if you look on Jack Barlow's page and it says what his signet is, it says Veninism. Like being a Venin is his signet.
Okay, do you talk about Xaden in this?
A little bit, but not.
How would that work though? So we're not saying
you don't have to be a siphon to turn Venin, but I just think being a siphon, it makes them more inclined to be a Venin.
More inclined. Okay.
Yeah. Because like that's what I'm saying. Like I think they might even be tempted because they can sense power, they can sense ability. You know what I mean? Like so, I just think they would even be, depending on how morally strong and secure that they are, they would just be tempted to pull power
because
more than anyone else
pulling it
because they can sense it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
And they can do it a little bit easier because that's like their thing. So, all right, now let's jump back into the theory that I mentioned earlier about Naolin being alive and being Venin. Why would Naolin risk siphoning too much power to save Brennan?
Because he loved Brennan.
I'm so glad you asked, Ellie. I forgot to read that part first. There was a line at the beginning of Iron Flame on page 11, in case you want to fact check me, where Violet guesses that there's more to Brennan and Naolin's relationship. She says, or it says in the book, Brennan struggles to talk about Naolin, Tairn's previous writer, and Violet clocks it, wondering if he was more than that to Brennan. Shortly after this in Iron Flame again, while Brennan and Violet were at the very beginning, they're like, remember, they're sitting down, they're just talking, trying to catch up because it's been years that they haven't even spoken. She asks if he's married, and he responds by saying he has, quote, no partner. That's on page 16. Either of those, honestly, like
she comes with her sources cited,
facts, receipts, proof, screenshots. Both of those, like individually, I think easily could be glossed over. But then when you put them together, to me, it's like absolutely hints that there was more there. It also says, we brought this up already, that it cost Naolin everything to save Brennan, but not that it cost him his life in that one specific instance. Could the everything they're referring to be his soul, the people he loves, the bond with his dragon?
Yeah.
At one of the battles, the sage, Venin Sage, says, quote, "It hurts nearing burnout, doesn't it?" I don't have the receipts for that one. I'm so sorry, but it does say that.
I don't know.
Forgot to write that page down. Which begs the question of how does he know? Could that sage actually be Naolin if he was Venin?
Yes.
It could. Also, Naolin would bring a lot to the Venin army. He would bring military leadership experience. He could potentially even start the Venin version of Basgaith if they didn't already have something like that, to help him train and become more powerful. He also could potentially bring other big names from Navarre into the picture. And I will also touch on that a little bit later in this episode. And before we do that, I also want to just rehash Naolin's bond with Tairn for a second and theorize on what that could mean for future plots.
Okay.
So assuming that Naolin turned Venin, which at this point I think it's very clear that is 100% where the camp I'm in, where I stand. I think that Tairn was the one to break the bond. And I know I said this in our last episode.
Yeah.
Knowing that Naolin is not only alive, but chose to turn Venin, regardless of his heart and intentions behind that choice, I think that's why Tairn refuses to talk about him. Because if he had died, it would have been tragic. But betrayal deep like that and feeling like a second choice, that's like a way harder emotion to get past than grief. Like, think about it in your own life. Like, honestly, like, obviously the death of someone very, very close to you,
it's like
not
there's
easy.
No closure. It's like
exactly
you're left with confusion.
Exactly.
And questions. Yeah.
There's no closure to that. So it's so much harder to get over that. Tairn is the king of keeping secrets. So it would not surprise me in the least if we learned that he had known this the whole time and kept it from Violet, and honestly, maybe even the Empyrean.
Yeah.
It would also set up the plot that we know is coming. What is Sigale going to do about her bond with Xaden? Tairn would have firsthand experience of making the incredibly difficult decision to break the bond with his rider. And it's going to put him through so much agony to see his mate struggle with that decision. Plus, this gives us even more depth.
So sad.
I know. This gives us even more depth to the theory that we had in our last episode about Onyx Storm talking about the struggle between Tairn and Xaden.
Yeah.
And not Violet and Xaden like everyone assumed at first.
Ooh, good point.
Plus, Xaden is not Sigale's first rider.
Yeah.
We know that she was bonded to Xaden's, was it his grandpa or great grandpa?
It was his like uncle or something.
No, I think,
wait.
no, it was, everyone thought it was his uncle, but it was actually a grandpa, which is how he got two.
Yes, great grandpa, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think it was, I think it was further lineage. So would breaking this bond actually kill her?
Yeah.
I mean, the bonds get stronger. We know that.
Uh-huh.
Will she stay with Xaden regardless of his choice to turn her back on Tairn, her mate?
No.
Well, once again, that would give more depth to our other theory, though. If she does, I think she's going to choose him.
Choose Tairn?
Well, I'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
At the end. So, now, Ellie, let's talk about the rune-shaped scar on Brennan's hand and what that could mean, assuming Naolin turned Venin to save him.
Mm-hmm.
What if Brennan is being controlled by Naolin?
I feel icky about that.
So I have a lot of thoughts on what this could mean, and then I'll tell you what I lean into the most at the end. But one thought is that Brennan is being controlled by Naolin, or at the very least being used to get information. Brennan is very secretive.
Yeah.
So to me, this theory tracks, and it would be an interesting twist. And at the very least, the scar feels like proof that Naolin imbued Brennan in order to save him. Like, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a crack theory going around on Reddit that everyone who has an orange dragon is evil. And guess what color dragon Brennan has?
Oh.
That's
orange.
Right. Red. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
It's orange.
I was like, but I...
No, it's orange. I'm kidding.
Today.
So here's another thought. Is the scar some sort of lock to keep Brennan's Veninism in check? I've seen a lot of theories online that Brennan is actually Venin as well.
I've seen that too. I think that should be a whole episode we do. There's a lot to that.
Yeah, I don't get too in the weeds on that one here. So we could do a whole, if you guys want us to do a whole episode on that, we could. But thought on what that could be. In, I guess, some potential foreshadowing for that being the next plot.
Dilemma.
Thank you. In the folklore in this series, the OG Venin was one of 3 siblings, and there's 3 Sorengale siblings. One of the siblings had lightning signet. Violet has lightning signet. One of them becomes a griffin flyer, and one of them gets jealous of the other 2 and draws from the earth. Mira seems like she'd be way more likely to join the Flyers.
Yeah.
So that would leave Brennan, and by default he becomes the Brennan or the Venin sibling then.
Brennan Venin.
And it rhymes. To me, that's the most proof I need. I'm just kidding.
It's Brennan to look.
It's Brennan and Venin to look. Brennan. It's Brennan to look a lot like Venin. That's hilarious. That should be, if we do a whole episode on just that is
that's
the title.
Yeah, that's good.
Or, Ellie, what do we know that we know that wyverns are controlled by runes, right?
Yes.
What if the scar is somehow keeping Brennan alive through Venin magic, similar to how wyverns are with runes?
That makes sense to me.
It doesn't help. Oh, he doesn't help. Here's some this is the one that I subscribe to the most.
He's not been malicious yet, though, that we have seen.
Yeah.
And I feel like she would have at least tossed in a little questionable, why did Brennan do that?
Yeah.
And then so that would be a big plot twist.
Exactly.
I mean,
so
can't
to me,
rule it out.
To me, this is the one that I'm subscribing to the most out of all of the ones I've mentioned so far. And here's why. He doesn't help Bezgaeth at all until the wards are already down.
Oh.
In Iron Flame.
Didn't even pay attention.
Brennan, in what appears to be a giant shift in character, refused to return to the school to aid his mother, innocent people, and what would permit a huge blow to the dragon hatching grounds.
That is his gray thing. He does do bad things.
And up until this point, like, why?
Because he can't get
pretend
in.
to be dead and like be a part of the
Why
resistance
pretend
if you're
to
not
die?
if you're not going to actually go and help fight?
Yes.
Like when a time came
Doesn't
and they're like,
fit
we
the
need
character.
Exactly. Is this because he didn't want to? Like I assumed initially, because that makes sense.
It's not. It's
or is it because
Venin.
he couldn't?
He couldn't.
This is also consistent with Rebecca's repeated use of the lack of information or misinformation being a driving force of conflict. So far, nothing has been as it seems, and nearly all conflict has been a result of information disparity.
I'm in despair. This is crazy. I so subscribe.
And I know what you're going to ask me next, Ellie.
Yeah.
But Melissa,
Yeah.
Are you going to do it with me?
No.
Okay. Jack Barlow was Venin, and he could walk the grounds of the school.
That is what I was going to ask.
Yes, true. But this was a surprise to everyone, Jack himself. So if we didn't know that was true, then it makes sense that Brennan wouldn't have known it was true and would have operated under the assumption that he just couldn't, and it would have killed him to go. It also tracks with what I just said again about the theme that Rebecca Yarros uses about information and misinformation and not things not being what they seem.
What, if it's not this, I feel like authors that start a good solid book just honestly need to listen to the Fan Theory podcast and anything else, because if it was me, I'd be like, good idea.
What a good idea.
What is some notes?
It also explains why he has not spoken with or returned to the college for the last 6 years, using the guise of him fighting in the rebellion and pretending to be dead as a cover.
Yeah.
With the wards active, Brennan likely wouldn't have been able to
come back.
He would have assumed he couldn't have come back. So he was just pretending that that's why he didn't come back.
The evidence is damning.
The evidence is evidencing.
Ooh.
I can also absolutely foresee Rebecca Yarros forcing a situation where Violet would then be forced to make a decision. Kill Naolin, if potentially the sage, to save Xaden, but at the cost of killing her brother.
Something sparking in my memories when I was doing research last week, and it had to do with the idea that, like, oh boy, I'm just saying as it pops into my brain, so who knows. But something that had to do with Naolin giving everything up for Brennan is in the same way Xaden gave everything up for Violet. And so, like, there was a tie-in that went deeper that if Naolin is Venin and, you know, continues on and whatever, that Xaden is going to follow suit. I don't remember the entire thing, but
I think I read something about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll find it again for a Venin episode.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be me if I didn't play devil's advocate on all of these theories that we brought up. So I only have two.
Okay.
But here we go. Rebecca Yarros said in an Instagram live that she does not bring people back from the dead. We touched on this last week. I have thoughts on Violet's dad that literally could be a whole episode in and of itself. So let us know if you think we should do that. But Brennan did say, because like we had touched on, it says he gave up everything. Brennan did say at one point when speaking to the assembly, quote, knowing she's bonded to Tairn, whose bonds get deeper with each rider and whose previous bond was already so strong that Naolin's death nearly killed him. So it does specifically say that he's died.
Dead, yeah.
However, Brennan is the one saying this. If what we just said is true, it's very possible that he's lying.
Yeah.
And he's talking to the assembly. He's not going to want to tell these people the truth if his lover turned Venin to save his life.
Here's where things get a little funny too, is we would have to, in order for all of this to work, we would have to subscribe to the idea that Venin can control their dragons. Because why would Brennan's dragon stay with him? Because he's still a rider. And where's Naolin's where's Naolin's dragon? It's Tairn.
It's Tairn.
How
We
did
found
Tairn break that? And like,
well, I think
why, and like Solus, if Varish was, and then Liam's dragon Bade stayed with him too. I'm just confused.
Wait.
Like, how did Tairn? Yeah, I mean, he kills Bade.
Jack.
Yeah,
Jack.
Liam. Sorry,
That's what I was
Jack.
confused.
Thanks. But then Tairn.
I think that here's just what I think about that. Yeah, I think the dragons can break bonds. I think, like, I don't think it has to be the death of a rider to break the bond. I think that's one of the secrets many secrets that we don't know that the Empyrean are keeping, that dragons
All right,
can
keep your
choose.
secrets.
Can choose. I think we'll learn that. And I think Tairn's going to be the one to reveal that, and he's going to reveal it in his backstory and explaining to Violet what actually happened.
Makes so much sense, yeah.
But I think that they can break the bond, which if that's the case,
But
that
then
would mean
why haven't they?
well, then they're choosing to stay. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think a huge part of this story is the Empyrean is going to split. There's going to be dragons, because I mean, we've already gotten a little glimpse of that in Iron Flame. We know that some dragons think that they should do one things, and other dragons think that they should go and fight. Like we already know that the dragons think independently.
People,
yeah, and like they have their
fair.
own thoughts and emotions and make their own decisions and think certain things.
Yeah.
So that to me is a foreshadowing.
I saw dragons as this unbreakable force that they all think the same way. They all support the Empyrean. They all are, but it makes sense with that one decision of who's going to go and who's going to stay. Totally makes sense.
That to me,
Rebecca, you little genius,
is enough foreshadow to give us a hint that they are independent creatures. They can make their own decisions, and I think that there's going to be a lot of once all these secrets start coming out.
Yeah,
the Empyrean's going to crack, and then there's going to be a lot of borderline political plot with the dragons in and of themselves.
Yeah.
Forget Navarre and all the other isles and stuff.
This is bigger.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
I think that's why I just think that the dragons can choose to stay with them, which is another reason why I think I get into this. Maybe not, but I think that's again, under that assumption, I think Sigale is going to choose to stay with Xaden.
You did hint towards that earlier.
So knowing that, assuming that's a possibility,
she does, and I hope she doesn't. You know, I just want things to go back to how they were.
I think she has to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not nearly as emotional because Xaden by himself is very sad or whatever, but Xaden and Sigale versus quote not really, but kind of versus
Tairn
and
Tairn.
Yeah, that's so sad.
That's so sad.
Exactly. That's just so much more heart-wrenching and emotional, and I think that's going to get people going more.
Though, I don't understand Venin, because as soon as she was like, he turned Venin, everyone just dropped the book. We're all terrified.
Yeah.
What just happened? Next chapter, she wakes up in bed next to him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't get it.
We're going to get more
We'll
about
get the dynamic
just in general.
But
in this
initially,
book for sure.
I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Was this a flashback? So,
I remember being confused by that too.
Yeah.
So what does all this mean moving forward? Specifically regarding what we talked about today and Siphons, this makes me very nervous for Sloan.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
What do you think she's going to do?
She's already been kind of on the border between whether she liked Violet or not. And now they seem to be friends. And obviously, they went through this very traumatic thing with Lilith. I think she's going to end up being good overall.
That's what I think
too. Faced with some kind of join our side. So much better.
I think there might even be a level of a plan of deception. She might, I don't know. I don't even know if this is possible. So if this doesn't end up happening, don't come for me. But pretending to be Venin just to infiltrate.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I have something.
Go.
Do you remember how all of those kids were like, we owe Xaden everything? What if Xaden says, I need you all to follow me, and takes half of them to the Venin side?
Shut up. That would suck.
That would suck.
Because then it would just be the OG Navarians
because if he is
and
operating
the
like a human, where he has, I mean, the sage was able to communicate and speak and convince in the same way. If he was operating the same way where he can convince everyone, hey, it's not as bad. They've been lying to us the whole time.
Yeah.
You owe me everything.
Come with me.
Yeah.
You trust me. Oh my gosh.
I
love and I hate this so much. Oh my word.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my last point. My heart is already breaking thinking about the tension between Tairn and Sigale and what the scenario
I just don't even want to read it. That's so much stress.
But it feels so inevitable for this next book. What do you think? I know I already said what I think she's going to do. You said you think she's going to stay with Tairn. What do you in your heart of hearts? What do you think she's going to do?
For the sake of the story, I think she will stay with Xaden. But I don't know what that means for a dragon, and that they can control dragons.
Mating bond. What does that mean? Because they can't be apart for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So what is that going to do to their mate? I didn't even think about that till just now. What is that going to do to their mating
I don't know.
bond? Rebecca, I need answers.
I know.
I've rewritten this whole. I watched this none of this be in the next book.
I know.
If that's the case, I'm going to pay someone to rewrite fanfic because I can't do it.
Then we just add it to our new segment, which, little spoiler for you guys, we're adding some new segments because Hot Goss was really fun and we love that. We love our original book club too, but these episodes are also incredibly enjoyable. So we're going to write a new segment called Shut the Fanfic Up, where we're going to talk about the books that we think should have had a little bit of different endings.
Books we love, but would love more if they had ended differently.
Now hear me. We're not going to rewrite the endings. We are not authors, but we're going to be like, hey, this book, how'd you feel about the ending? I would have liked it better if, and then you'll hear our
X, Y, and Z
long
happened.
tangents.
Yep.
They might be better, they might be worse, but you can let us know.
And you'll have to listen to see what you think, but
so
I'm excited.
That could be one. If Onyx Storm does not play out how we think, we'll just pull clips from this and be like, this is how it should have been.
But that's all I have for you today.
So good. This was such a good episode.
So excited for this book now, though.
This is intense. Yeah.
I have a lot of like in my mind. I'm like, well, this is for sure happening now.
Yeah.
About a lot of
but
things, but I'm excited.
It might not.
Who's to say? Rebecca is to say.
Rebecca's to say. We're not to say. So January 21st is when it comes out.
Yep. 2025. Everyone, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of fun.
Like, subscribe, comment, leave a review, and we'll read it. Did we read it on this episode or the last one?
We read it on this one.
Yeah.
We'll start reading them on all of them, though.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And that's that.
We have to get enough reviews first.
Yeah.
Assuming you leave one, we'll read it.
Yeah. Again, 5 stars, or I'm not doing it. No, maybe I will if it's nice enough.
Who's to say? I've said that a lot today. I need to stop. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Join us on Wednesday for Queen of Shadows, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.